I think it's about, hey, knowing what you want, going for it. I knew I wanted to do different things. I knew at some point I wanted to start a company,
That's awesome.
but that's not for everybody.
Yeah, and what were some of the things that you learned? Just because I know, the mergers and acquisitions, and then the senior product manager stuff for Intel and SAP. Were there any successes or failures, like micro secrets at each of those that you took away to launch Lease Exchange? And then obviously Lease Exchange was probably a huge learning experience that we could talk about.
Yeah, in mergers and acquisitions, this was like the 100-hour a week for a couple of years. I mean, I learned I could work as much as I needed to. I did 80-hour weeks, 100-hour weeks, or a couple of weeks where we did probably 120 hours.
Wow.
And at some
Just
point,
at the office 24/7, huh?
pretty much for, there was like, I can't remember the deal, but, we were there, it was like 5 days and maybe went home twice or something, I know, whatever
That's tough.
when I was 23, you don't know any different. And so I think I learned at that point, just brute force hours. And at first I got bored, right? I had I would have made a lot of money to stay as a third year. Right? I would have been 25 making $100,000 more, 100 something. I don't remember what the actual $120,000, right? And this was a long, 20 years ago, which is kind of scary to say. And in today's dollars, maybe that'd be $200,000 if you were 25. And I said no, because it was kind of the same thing over and over again. I got bored. So
Yeah.
I think just we all learn something. So if you stop and reflect on, what worked for me, what didn't. And I think I sort of naturally tend to reflect more than a lot of people I know. So that was one. In the product management, I learned, the thing that comes to mind actually was I hadn't done much public speaking, which I'll come back to. But I gave a talk where I made some embarrassing mistakes in front of, a couple of partners. It was like they say, don't make jokes around like sex, politics, or religion. And I made a couple jokes around sex, politics, or religion. It did not go over well. So that was definitely an embarrassing, painful public speaking lesson.
That's funny. I just can't see you, like, I'm so used to you public speaking and being in front of the camera, and that's just so, that was like probably what, 24, 25?
26.
Yeah.
26. I'm 47 now.
That's awesome.
Time just flies. That's a different lesson. Having kids, you never really appreciate how time just goes by until at least I did until I had them. And how you get a fixed number of days and years and then you're done.
And I think people think closing is like a bad word. It's like you close the deal when you did all the things that you should have done on the deal.
Yeah, if you're effective filling the pipeline and you can build a relationship and you can take a consultative approach and you can sell value and you can thoroughly qualify and you present the right things to the right people at the right time for the right reason, the business will close. You don't have to do anything.
Boom. Bomb drop, dude, right there. There's the mic drop, man. I love it. Like, boom, 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 boom. It sounds like those are all the little secrets. That's amazing. I completely agree. Like, that was the perfect summation of the perfect sale.
My second day on that job, I was in a car with my CEO of Right Hemisphere, who, by the way, is a former Broadway actor, was a former lead on Les Miserables in the early 1990s, used to be on All My Children, the soap opera. I mean, like, great dude. I was in a car with him and he asked me what I want to do with my life. And I was like, I want to run a sales org. I want to build and run. That's my passion. Well, I'm in Right Hemisphere for a few months. I had to go to Germany to do some training for one of our partners. I finally fell asleep. I had horrible jet lag. It's about 2 a.m. And the pre-sales solution consultant guy that I ended up traveling with, who's in a different room, is banging on my door at 2 a.m. Because my cell phone wouldn't work. The SIM card wasn't working.
Interesting.
And so I opened the door and I'm like, Mark, dude, I finally just fell asleep. Why are you waking me up? And he's like, it's Michael, the CEO. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll take that.
Yeah. I'll answer.
And he tells me, hey, Todd, we just had to part company with the VP of sales. We want you to do it.
No shit.
And I was like, well, and he's like, do you want it? And I'm like, are you kidding? Yes. And I haven't been able to sleep for 2 days and now you just made it 3. Thank you. But that changed everything. It was, he really recognized something in what I had learned and my passion around it. And we ended up taking the company from barely keeping the lights on to about 400% growth. I won that American Business Award for VP of Worldwide Sales of the Year in 2009. And it was amazing. So many lessons learned there. One of the big ones was focus. It's where I really learned focus.
Okay.
As a technology, we could address a million needs. Like we could do science projects all day long. But where I knew the money was in complex manufacturing. So aerospace and automotive. And I'm like, I told all the reps, for the next 6 months, your account list is aerospace and automotive, and anything else is no.
How does the audience, this is getting into a little bit of your secret sauce, right? But you said storytelling's the number one secret. If I'm a listener, we'll have thousands of people listening into this episode. How do I start telling story? Like, where do I start? Like, if it's brand new to me and I don't even know, how to execute. How does the audience execute this secret?
Well, yeah, it goes back to, standing on the shoulders of giants. If you're, let's say you're selling, racing systems or something, or you're selling something that's going to help somebody's car go faster. And then you look at, what Ford did when they competed with Ferrari. That movie just came out last year. And you use stories of other people. I'm saying, well, this isn't how we did it, but this is how Henry Ford did it. Or this is how somebody else did it. Or this is how somebody in my office did it. Or, whatever it is. Or, my grandfather once taught me, I've got a million grandfather stories. I'm sure everybody does. My grandfather was a gunner on a B-29 in World War II. I've got a million stories. and I've used those at work, and it's just funny. But, if you're brand new and you don't have your own stories, just leverage the stories of other people. It doesn't matter if you know them or not. But the main thing you have to remember is they got to be factual. They got to be honest. You can't embellish anything. You got to tell the truth. And as long as you tell the truth, people are going to know you're telling the truth, and they're going to trust you, and they're going to follow, because nobody is going to buy anything from you if they don't trust you.
And you always have successes and failures in sales, but I always think of the failures in a simple way, which is not everybody needs what you have. And I always envision sales as a form of search. What you're doing is you're searching to find the situation where the sale is very straightforward, where the fit is good, where the value is good, where you're not forcing anything. And I kind of developed a model around that said, I really don't want to sell my product to somebody that it's a force fit for. And I think avoiding force fits and not being the dog with a bone in its mouth, having to chew that bone and insisting that this is the only bone, go get another bone, go find another one. And that's really, I think, ultimately why Connect and Sell was so appealing to me when I ran into it. It was like a means of having a conversation with somebody. And if it's great, it's great. And if it's not, so what? Push the button, have another conversation. Kind of relax into the process a little bit and stop trying to force it. Because what I have grown to believe, and I've been doing this stuff now, 79 was when I started, so just about 40 years, is that competitive nature that salespeople have, that they have to have that big motor, is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you need the big motor to do all the work. There's lots of work to be done in sales. Brandon, I think you're one of these guys that, as far as I can tell, you're up, before the crack of dawn and going all the time. I've never seen a moment of the day when you're not doing something out there. Yeah. And, you got to have that motor, right? But you also have got to have, I think, and this is anyway where I came to, is if you want to do big deals, and the biggest deal I've ever done, I won't talk about the details, it was pretty big, $120 million deal for a product that was only about 10 weeks old, from conception to the deal being signed.
That's insane.
And it was really, though, you think about it, was right place, right time. It was just that product was needed by that company for a very specific purpose. Now, how did I get that deal? I went to the lunchroom of that company in their headquarters, which I have their American headquarters. It was not an American company. And I sat there day after day after day and listened to conversations and talked to people until finally one day, an opportunity to be helpful opened up, where I could really help them with a serious problem, not a big corporate problem. It's just a problem for those local guys. And that allowed me to get my product in the door. And the next thing you knew, we didn't have any competitors. We shared some stuff with them that the other guys wouldn't share. We were more open with them. And the next thing you know, we're doing an OEM deal that started small and kind of steamrolled into $120 million.